Okay, I'm going to start. My name is Sue Lamar, and welcome to our Zoom class for Introduction to Excel. Annie's going to be helping me, so she's going to be monitoring and helping. So if you hear her voice, she's going to take care of it. If you have a question or something, you can just raise your hand for the chat, and then Annie will take those questions for you. Okay, so as I said, my name is Sue Lamar, and I work at the Computer Help Desk. And this is Introduction or Beginning Excel. And the first thing I'm going to do is go through what the objectives of the class are. And the objectives are, and this is on page 3 of your book, if you printed the book out that Annie had sent. We're going to learn how to create a spreadsheet, format a spreadsheet, use formulas to do simple calculations, and sort and filter data. So spreadsheets in Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets are easy to make and maintain once you know the principles. So the first thing I'm going to go through is the worksheet components. So Excel is made up of rows and columns. Okay, so altogether, there are over 1 million rows, 1,048,700 something. Okay, and the rows are numbered 1 through the 1 million whatever. And the columns are labeled A, B, C, the alphabet. So once we get to Z, the next column will be called AA. The next one will be AB, AC. Then it'll go BA, CA. Just keeps on going on till it does all 16,000 columns. Okay, you also have what worksheets. You have it's called an Excel workbook, because in the workbook, you can have multiple sheets. So you'll notice down at the bottom here, mine says sheet 1. So I can have multiple sheets. Like for example, I keep track of the statistics for the department. So I have one workbook that's 2020. And then I have a worksheet in there for each month. So I have a worksheet called January, a worksheet called February, so on. So I have them all in one workbook. So if someone comes and says, well, what happened in March? And I could be looking, I could be doing July. I don't have to go and open a whole new file. I can just click that tab in that workbook. Questions? Okay. So proceeding on. So most of the things you're going to use, you're going to find are on your home tab. So this is what's called the ribbon up here. And I'm on the home tab right now. This box here shows you what my active cell is. So my active cell is A1. If I move over here to this cell, it's now showing E3 as my active cell. So if you have a really big spreadsheet, hopefully you never have one that's 1 million rows, and you don't know where you are in that spreadsheet because it's so big, you always can look up here at the top and you'll see, it'll tell you where you're at. Okay, so this is the formula bar here. In here, that's the formula bar. So that'll show you whatever value is in A1. For example, I'm going to go type my name in A1. Okay, you have to hit enter or use one of the arrow keys. It doesn't actually put the value in there until you do that. So now A1 says the value in A1 is Sue. Okay, so that's, I'm going to show you your formula. And we're going to go through formulas a little bit later. Okay, so I want to go through the things in the ribbon. So I'm on the home tab right now. So in the Home tab, the first grouping that you have is your Clipboard grouping. So you have a paste, which is like the pegboard and the piece of paper. Cut, which represents the pair of scissors. Copy is your two pieces of paper. And then you have the format painter. So we're going to look at that a little bit later when I'm opening up a new sheet. Then your next grouping is your font grouping. So the first thing it shows me is that my font I'm using is called Calibri. If I want to choose a different font, I just click this little arrow here, and it shows you all the different fonts you could use. And then it shows you the next is the size of your font. So right now my size is 11. So that's the size of this font. If I want to increase it, I can go and click on this box here, and I can select how big I want it to be. So let's say I want it to be 22. So I'll click 22, and it automatically makes it bigger. If I want to make it smaller, I can click the A next to it, and it'll just decrease it in size. Okay, then I have my bold. So if I click this bold right here, it puts a little shadow around the bold, the B. Now it made my name bold. If I want to italicize it, I'll click the italicize, and now it put it on a little slant. It's hard to tell, but it doesn't italicize it that much. And then you have your U for underline. So I click the U, and now it underlined my name. See, there's underneath my name, there's an underline. So if I want to have that whole cell with a line going across, I would then use a border. So that's this next grouping here. So if I click the box here, and I'll say I want a bottom border, I'm going to move out. So now you see the line is going all the way across. Make that cell big as you can see. So it goes all the way across. So that's the difference between underline and border. So that's a good thing to remember. It's only going to underline whatever characters or numbers are there. But the border will put a line across the whole cell. You can also go with the border. I have a bottom border. I have a top border. I can click that. Left border, right border, no border, all borders. So there's only many different angles that you can do there with the border. Okay, so the next one I'm going to go through then is my fill. So that'll fill the cell. So if I click it, now it fills it, just like if I had a yellow highlighter pen. If I don't want to use yellow, I can click the little arrow next to it, and it gives me a bunch of different other colors I can choose from. So maybe I'll use this green for Downers Grove Library. You know, green is our color. And if I don't like any of those colors, oops, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. If I don't like any of those colors, I can go to more colors, and then it gives me this little prism. So I can be very exacting of what color I want. Okay, then next to that, I have the font color. So I'll click this, and it makes the font red. If I don't want it to be red, I click that little arrow, and there's different colors I can choose. So maybe I'll make it yellow. Oh, didn't make it yellow. Oh, I wasn't in my name. Okay, so now it's yellow. Okay, any questions on that so far? Okay. Then you have your alignments. So the one here at the top is going to align it to the top. So right now my active cell is A1. If I click this box right here, see it moved my name up to the top of that cell. If I click the next one, it's going to put it in the middle. And the next one, it'll put it on the bottom. So by default, it's always going to be put at the bottom. And then if you wanted to select it, if your cell's real big, you might want to select that. Now I can also go and do the next one and do orientate it a different way. So I can orientate it clockwise. So now I put my name clockwise. I can do it vertical because maybe I'm doing a spreadsheet which got a lot of information, numbers, and I'm going to have that first row real big or very narrow. Uh-oh, Annie's coming in, so something's wrong. Change what to yellow? Okay. Did they say that in the chat or as a person? Okay. Okay, I'm going to change the color to black. Okay. So if I make this very narrow, so I can make it narrow. Okay, so that's how you would change the way your text, right? You know, the orientation of your text. And then you have your wrap text. So this would be like the sample shows you when I click that, it says like Microsoft Excel. I'll just show you here. So in cell B1, I will type Microsoft Excel. I didn't spell Excel right. Now notice that when I type that Microsoft Excel, part of that is flowing into cell C. So if I was to go and type something into cell C, I'll type DGPL. Now it's not showing me the whole word of Microsoft Excel. But in B1, it's showing me on formula bar, Microsoft Excel is what the value in that cell. So if I want to be able to see that whole thing and I don't want to make the cell any bigger or column any bigger, I can do what's called wrap text. So I'm going to click wrap text now. And now I can see it, it's wrapped it. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, next we have our numbers. So when you type letters or letters of the alphabet text, it's always going to align it to the left. When you type numbers, it's always going to align it to the right. Just like if you were, when you were in school, how you always had to have your numbers lined up in order. So like I'm going to type 1 and hit enter. So you see it automatically put it to the right. If I wanted this for whatever reason, I wanted it aligned someplace else, I wanted it aligned to the left, I'm going to click align left. It's going to move it to the left. If I want it to be aligned in the center, I'm going to click center, and it aligns it to the center. And right is by default, but I'm going to put it to the right. So that's how your alignments go with the numbers. So then we have how we want our numbers displayed. So right now it's saying the number is displayed in the general format. So just the plain old 1. If I wanted to show $, I would just click the $sign, and it automatically puts the $sign in and 2 decimals. If this number should be a percentage, I would click the %, and now it made it 100%. The one I like to use is the comma. So if I click the comma, it automatically would put, well, it's not a big enough number. I'm going to type it as 1,000 so you can see that. 1,000. Okay, so it automatically puts the comma in. Then next to that, you have increase your decimal. So I'm finally to increase the decimal. I would click this one, and now it made it 3 places. While it depends on how it's displayed, I'm going to put it back to the 2. Even though it's displayed as only 2 places, Excel actually would carry it out, how many places it actually needs. So like if you were saying you want to do things in thirds, it actually is, 0.3333333333. It actually is using that whole thing, even though it's not displaying all the numbers. Okay, so that's the basic thing that you're going to have on this spreadsheet. So the other thing that we have to go through is the quick access toolbar, which is up here. It's the quick access toolbar. So by default, when you get Excel, open Excel, you're going to have File, or Save rather, which is the little computer disk. Then you have Undo, and then you have Redo, which you can hardly see, but Redo is the next one. So right now, I'm in cell D1. If I click Undo, it's going to put it back to the 3 places. If I click Undo again, it's going to put it back to the just plain comma. So it'll hold up to like 25 entries that you did that you can undo. So don't get too worried when you did something and you can't, and you want to undo it, just you can always click the undo. You don't have to panic with that. Okay. So now I'm going to go and create a new spreadsheet. Which is starting on page 7 to page 9. I already created the spreadsheet so you wouldn't have to sit and watch me put numbers in because I'm not a very fast typist. So I'm going to go and bring up that spreadsheet and we're going to work with that new spreadsheet. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet. So we have the people, the first names in one column, and column B's got the last name, then their district, and then the quarters, and that's their sales results that they had. So I want to make this a little prettier. So I want to go and highlight all of line 1, and I'm going to color that in, the fill color. I'm going to color it in green. Okay, I want to make the worksheet bigger so you can see it. Okay. I don't like the way these quarters are aligned. I would like them to be aligned to the right so they would line up with the numbers. So I'm going to go and click over here in the alignment to the right. So now they're all aligned to the right. I colored in this one because I want to put in here total. Oh, and I got to align that to the right. So here's how you can do a format painter. I'm going to click on this cell and say click Format Painter. And now see my cursor turn into a paintbrush. Now I'm going to click in cell H1 and see it automatically aligned it to the right. So it just did whatever format that I previously had. So for example, maybe I want these names, I want them to be bold, because I think they should be bold. And it's already green. So maybe I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'll use this, make it a little bit bigger. So I want that to be 14. Okay, so I want all of those across that whole row to look like that. So I'm going to click my Format Painter. Now my cursor looks like a paintbrush. And now I'm just going to go slide over those columns. And I did that wrong. Now you have to do an undo. Okay, let me do it again. Click the Format Painter. There. So that's an easy way to have everything look the same. You don't have to remember, wait, what size font did I use? Did I do bold? Did I do italic? You can just copy that same format. Okay, so as I said, normally in the class, when we were here in person, we all would sit here and put this information in, but I didn't want you to be bored watching me put the information in. So I did it for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I want to get a total for each column. So I'm going to go down here and type total. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to sum. Oh, here's another neat thing. I want to sum what this equals. So if you'll notice, now I'm going to highlight this whole cell, this whole column. So you'll notice down here at the bottom, if you can see it, it shows me what the average is, what the count is, the maximum, and what the sum is. So let me go here, and I want to do a total. Let me get rid of this one box here. So I'm going to click up here where it says Autosum. Click that, and now it put a formula in. Notice there's a marquee around that whole cell, and it says equal sum. So you always start formulas with an equal sign. It has to have an equal sign. It says sum, parenthesis, D2 to D5, which is what I want. So I'm going to hit enter. So there's my sum. Okay, if I want that to go into the next column, I can take it and drag it over and automatically fills in the next column. If I want it to go to all of them, I just drag over to all of them. So there's my totals. So I want to make that bold too. So I'm going to change it to bold because I want that to stand out. So I can see right away what the end results were. Okay, now I also want to do a total going across for each person. So I'm going to go over here to total. I'm going to click that auto sum. And now it's taking D2 to G2. And that's what I want. So I'm going to hit enter. So now it's giving me that total. Now here's a neat thing that they, I think, put this in 2013. If I want this to go all the way down, I go here to the corner of that cell, and I have, right now it's a fat plus sign. I get the skinny plus sign and double click. It automatically fills in the rest of the cells. It won't fill in where there was, because these were formulas down here. But you'll notice that one thing, it's showing these number signs. Well, what that means is my cell, if I look in my formula is there. When I look up here, it's showing the formula. This means my cell is not big enough. So if I go in between the H and the I, and now my cursor's got the vertical line with the crosshatch going across with two arrows, and I'll double click it, and it automatically makes the cell as big as the biggest item in there. So now it's showing me the total. Now I also want this grand total to come over, so I'm going to just drag that over. Okay, are there any questions on that? Well, let's make all this bold too while I'm at it. Questions? Okay, that goes all the way up to your page 9 of your book, if you're trying to follow with your book. Okay. No questions? Okay. I'm going to open up another spreadsheet now. Oh, let's go and change the sheet name. So right here, it says sheet 1. So if I want to change this name of this sheet, I'm going to click in here. And now sheet 1 is highlighted. And I'm going to type sales. And hit enter. So now that sheet is now called sales. If I wanted to add another sheet to this workbook, I'm going to click the plus sign and I get another sheet. So this one's labeled sheet 3 because I previously created a sheet 2, but then I deleted it. So it's automatically going to give the number of the next sheet you did. So to go back to sales, I just click that and go back to sales. Questions? Okay. Moving right along here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to open up another worksheet and do a new share. Okay, these are this is one of the spreadsheets that we did send you yesterday, which was called, I think it was called student files. So here's another one, and I'm going to show you some other tricks here. So here's some other more salespeople. So if I want all these numbers here to be with the comma, I'm going to click the comma. So that would be quite tedious to have to do this whole entire worksheet like that. If I don't have that many lines, I've only got, 4 lines of figures. But if I had, 50 or 100 lines, that would take forever. So one thing that I could do when I first start doing this, I'm going to click in between this A and the 1, and there's this little triangle. I click that. Now that has valued the whole entire worksheet, all 1,000,000 rows and 16,000 columns. And I'm going to make it a comma. Now these are all whole numbers, so I don't need that decimal place. So I'm going to reduce the decimals. And that's good. So there we go. So now I formatted that whole worksheet with the commas. So if I go on right now, I'm in cell I4. If I type 3,000 and then hit enter, it automatically, so that whole worksheet is all formatted for me already.
We have a question.
Okay,
At H6, first sheet, what is the default direction of Autosum, vertical or horizontal? In this example, it doesn't really matter, but in other situations, it could.
wait, what was the question? What was the
What
question?
is the default direction of Autosum? And
Depends on what cell you're in.
yeah, I think
No,
it
so-
knows
Yeah,
if there's nothing, if you're there, it's above, if you're to the side.
it's gonna go across.
Yeah, Excel knows. It's intuitive of Excel. So you can change the marquee. So if it's going the wrong way, you can just highlight the cells that you want it to be. You don't have to accept what's in the marquee.
All right, so like, for example, I'm gonna click auto sum here. I'm in cell C6, and I'm gonna click auto sum. So it already it's taking C2 to C5. But if I wanted to take across this way, it'll take it across. So you can change it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's intuitive to Excel.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, so then let me get rid of this. Now I got this scooped up. Okay. So what I wanted to also go through, which I didn't go through, I was started to go through the quick access toolbar. I'm sorry to be jumping around, but you can format this quick access toolbar to suit your needs. So to format it or customize it rather, I'm going to click this little arrow here, and this shows me what's in the quick access toolbar. So right now I have save is checked, undo, and redo. Well, maybe I have to open a lot of worksheets, so I'm going to click open. So now it put a file folder up there. So now if I click that file folder, it's automatically going to go to open. Okay, the next thing I can do is, one thing that I do like up there is the print and print preview. So I'm going to click that, and that gives me the piece of paper with the magnifying glass, which is showing you the print preview. So if I click that, I can then get a sample of what my worksheet's going to look like when it prints. Okay. So I'm going to go back to A1 and stay on the Home tab. Okay, so on page 11, we talk about changing the name of the worksheet, which we already did. Okay, we did on page 13, we did a total sum. We did that already. We copied formulas. And let me see. Okay, I guess we can do a sort. Let me see. Let's go to the, I'm going to go to the worksheet that's called International Salesforce. I'm used to saying, let's all go to that because that's what I do in the normal class. Okay, so I'm on the International Salesforce. So you'll notice how these people, these salespeople, I have Johnson, then I have an Apple, then I have Johnson, I have Apple, then I have Finn, I have Johnson. I think it'd be a good idea to have all the Apples together, all the Johnsons together, all the Finns together. So Excel will let you sort things. So it goes all the way. I have Canada, Finland, Cuba, Scotland, and USA. Okay, so I want to sort this and put all the countries together and all the names together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in between the A and the 1. Now that's highlighted the whole worksheet once again. I'm going to go over here to sort and filter. That's on my home tab. I'm going to click that and I'm going to say I want to do a custom sort. Okay, now you notice when the custom sort comes up, it says my data has headers up here, and that's checked. That's important to check because if I uncheck that, it's going to put country and salesperson in order where it falls in the alphabet. And I don't want it to do that. I want it to stay as my header. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then the first thing I want to sort by, I'm going to click this little down arrow here, and I'm going to sort by country. And I'm going to sort it on values, but I'm going to sort it Z to A because I want the USA to show up first. Okay, then I want to go and add a level because I know I wanted to put it in country order, but I also want to put it in name order. So I'm going to add a level, and I'm going to then sort by salesperson. And A to Z is what I'll take. Then the next thing I want to do, I think it'd be good to sort it by the order amount. So I'm going to select order amount, smallest to largest, and say OK. Now I'm going to click OK and watch what happens. There, see how quick it sorted that? So when you're working on a really big spreadsheet, don't get hung up on, oh, I forgot I have to add this person. Just add them to the bottom, and then you can sort it when you're all done. So you don't have to worry about adding columns and rows and stuff. Any questions on that? Okay. So let's see what else I have here. Okay, we can go to doing headers and footers. So, let's see. US Salesforce.
Can I have your attention, please? We are in need of a curbside relay person from 12 to 1. Please call extension 4267 if you can do it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stay on this international Salesforce thing, and I'm going to do some. Print. I want to print this. So if I hit my print preview right now, this is going to 2 sheets. It says 1 of 2 down here. If I click the next little arrow here, next page, now it gives me my second page. And you'll notice I don't have any headers up here, so I don't know what this represents. So I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to go to my page layout tab. And then here where it says page setup. The first thing I have is the page. And I'm going to print it in the portrait mode at 100%, and that's all fine. The next thing I have is my margins. So I'm just going to keep those margins like that. But if this was very small, I might want to center it on the page. So if I click center horizontally, it moves it to the center. So I'm going to unclick that. See how it moves it back over? If I wanted to center it vertically, I click vertical, and then it moves it vertically on that page. But I know it's going to fill the whole page, so I don't want to do that. So that's all fine. Then I have my header and footer. Let me fix this. Okay. Okay, so then I have my header and footer. So I'm going to do a custom header. So to do the custom header, on page 25, we show you what all these things right here represent. So this one here is to format your text. This one here inserts a page number. This one inserts a number of pages. This calendar will put the date. The clock will put the time in. The file folder will put the file path name in. So if you create a lot of worksheets and you can never remember what you called them, you might want to include that. This one here inserts the file name. And the last one inserts the sheet name. And then you have, if you want to insert a picture, and if you want to format the picture. But we don't do that in this class. So what I want here is, because this workbook has so many different sheets, I want to put the sheet name in here. So I want it to say International Salesforce. So I don't need to type that. I can just click this right here. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. It's always broken into 3 sections: left, center, and right. So I'm in the left section, and I'm going to click the tab for Insert the Sheet Name. And I'm not going to put anything in the center section, but in the right section, I'm going to put the date. So I'm going to click that. And then it puts ampersand date. So if I went to print this tomorrow, it's going to show tomorrow's date of December 12th. So that's what you have to be careful of. If you wanted to show today's date always, then you actually would have to put in 12/11/2020. So I'm going to say okay to this. Then I'm going to go to the custom footer. Remember, this was 2 sheets. Let me take this stuff out that I put in there. So in the left section, I want to put the name of the file that I got this from, which was the insert the file name. So I'm going to click that. And then in the center, I want to put the page number. So I'll click the first one where it says page. I'm going to do the space bar, type the word of, space, and then click the next one, pages. And then I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to do print preview. So there I have, up at the top, I've got the name of the sheet, the date. The bottom, I have the name of the file and how many pages it is. Click the number 2, and it shows 2 of 2. Sorry that it's hard to see, but that's what it says, and there isn't any way to make that bigger. So I'm going to go back. Okay, but one thing that it didn't have, I'm going to go back to that page setup again. It didn't have my headers on the second page. So that's when I go to this sheet here, and I'm going to select rows to repeat at the top of the page. Click in that box. I'm going to click row 1. And now it says it's going to put in 1 to 1. $1 1 to 1 means the $sign means it's absolute. Always use row 1 on every page. Now when I do the print preview, I've got my header here. If I go to the next page, I've got my headers. So that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, we have questions. No. Annie, did you take attendance?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. So now what we're gonna do,
We have a question.
oh, good.
What happens if your columns are too big? Like if the columns go off the page? I think print page, so.
Well, if your columns go off the page when you go here. So I don't have an example of one of those, but you would adjust it here in your page setup. So if maybe you have one column that's going off a page, so I could go fit to 1 to 2. And then it won't go off the page. Should say okay. So that's where you would adjust it.
You could also make it smaller by percentage if you want to go back to that.
Yeah. But it might not be readable then.
Well, usually it just is a little.
I know, but if I think I have found if you do this fit this way, it automatically adjusts it the way it needs to adjust it. But like Annie said, you could go adjust it here. So say it's just a teeny little bit, I can reduce it.
That's how I usually do it.
Okay, I don't do it that
I know.
way. Okay, but because then it automatically does it what will fit. Okay, whatever. But you can do either way. Any other questions?
Yeah, wait a minute. No, it's great to have the options. Thank you. Okay, no.
Okay, now we're going to go and do some fun stuff. So this is on page 35 of your book. So I'm going to go over and open up another spreadsheet again. So let me get another one. I'm going to delete all this stuff. Okay, so we're going to do some math now. So, for example, Excel follows the order of math operations, which means it's going to multiply first, divide, then it's going to add, and then it's going to subtract. So a way to remember that, the order of math operations is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so for example, I'm going to do in here a formula, equal, always start with equal, 2 plus 2. Now you see it didn't do anything because I haven't hit enter. So it is showing in my formula bar, 2 plus 2, was not giving me what the answer is. So I hit enter. So it's saying 4. Okay, so now I'm going to do equal 2 plus 2 times, and the thing for times is the asterisk. The sign for times is the asterisk, is 8 times 8. And I'm going to hit enter. And now it gave me an answer of 18. Well, that's not correct. So what it's doing is it's doing the multiplication first. 2 times 8 is 16. and adding 2 to that, and that's giving me 18. So I need to change the order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my formula bar. I'm going to put a parenthesis in front of the 2. And then after the 2, put a parenthesis. And now hit enter. And now it's giving me an answer of 32, which is right, because I changed the order of operation. By putting the parentheses in, it's telling Excel to add 2 plus 2 first, so that equals 4, then multiply 4 by 8, and that gives me 32. Okay, questions? Do you remember that from 6th grade? I never had that in 6th grade. So now we're going to do, and I'm going to do another one where we're going to use one of the formula functions. So we're going to do a loan. Put my glasses on. So, and this first line, I'm going to call it loan analysis. And first I'm going to have the amount of the loan. And then I'm going to have the term for how long the loan's going to be. Then I'm going to have the interest. And then I'm going to have the payment. Okay. Oh, I didn't spell amount right. Okay. So I'm going to make these columns bigger. I'm going to make all this bigger. Okay. So for the loan amount, I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to borrow $20,000. I'm going to put in 20,000 in there. I'm going to take the loan out for 5 years. So in there, I'm going to put 60. 5 times 12. 12 months in the year, 60. And the interest rate is going to be, let me see what I said, 7%. So I got to put in 0.07. Okay, so I want to format these cells. So for that amount, I want to put a $sign in front of it. And for the interest rate, I want that to show a %. Now I want that payment to also show the $sign. So I'm going to click on the 20,000, click that format painter, and put it down there. Okay, so that'll automatically put the percentage in there. So, I mean, in the $sign in there. Okay, so now I need to find the formula. So I'm going to click this little insert function, and this box comes up. And it says, you know, type a description of what you want to do. So what I want to do is I want to find the payment, what my payment's going to be. So I'm going to type the word payment. And then click go. So then it gives me all these different functions that have to do with payments. Now there's over like 450 different functions built into Excel. So this is, until you get familiar with it, it's kind of good because it actually will guide you through the whole thing. So I know the one that I want is this PMT. So I'm going to click that one and say OK. So now it brings up this little dialog box. So the first thing it asks me is what the rate is. And at the bottom, it just gives you a description of what they mean by rate. And it says, is the interest rate per period. So the rate is the 7%. So I can type B4, or I can just click in B4, and it automatically puts B4 in there. Okay, since I'm making monthly payments, B4, that interest rate has to be divided by 12, because that 7% is for the full year. So I'm going to do a divide sign, which is the slash, and put 12 in there. Then the next one is N per. And the N per is the total number of payments for the loan, which is the 60. So I'm going to click on 60. And that gives me B3 in there, and it shows it's 60. And the next one is PV, which is the present value, which is this 20,000. So I'm going to click that, and that puts in B2. It shows me my answer down here. So if I put in, if I didn't click B2 when I clicked this one, it would have me a goofy answer. But B2, and it's saying it's going to be $396, I'll say OK. And there's my answer. So you see how it put in my formula bar, I have equals the payment of B4 divided by 12. Then I have a comma. Then I have B3, B2. So that's the nice thing about using the wizard, because you don't have to worry about where your commas are. If you couldn't remember where the proper place for the comma would be, your formula is not going to come out. So that is on page 37 of your book, creating the loan analysis. Okay, questions? Okay, one last thing we're going to go through is doing some autofills. So,
We have one question.
oh, okay,
Why is B5 a negative number?
because it's reducing the 20,000. So if I multiply that 396 negative by 60, it'll come to 0. So that's why it shows up as negative. Any other questions? Okay. So Excel has some things which are like will automatically fill things in for you. So I went and opened another sheet. So for example, if I type January, and now I want this to fill up. So I get my fill handle to be that little skinny one, drag down, it automatically fills out all the months of the year. I can also abbreviate January, so just do JAN and drag. Okay, I can also do days of the week. So if I do Monday, and drag, I can abbreviate Monday.
Can you drag across too?
Yes, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so we do Monday, and now drag across. Okay, Now I can also do numbers. Let me undo that. So I'm going to do 1, hit enter, then drag down. Oh, but it put all 1s in because it doesn't know what I want to do. So I want it to number consecutively, so I'm going to say 1 and 2, hit enter. Now I'm going to grab the 1 and the 2, get my skinny plus sign, and drag down. So now it does consecutive. The same as if I wanted to do a lot of, if you work like in a company that maybe has invoices and they always start at 100, they go to 200, so like do 100, 200. It recognizes the pattern, so it automatically increases it by hundreds. I can increase it by 10s or 20s or 30s or whatever you want. So that goes on page 38 of your book. Questions? Okay. One last thing I'm going to show you, because it is 11 o'clock, or 12 o'clock rather. I don't want to keep you after class. So I'm going to go and do a new share again. Okay. So in your workbook, which you have this in the sheets that we sent you, we have what's called this personal budget sheet. So right now, if you look at this, I have January to December. If I use this little arrow down here, now here's my year and my December and my year. But I don't know what's supposed to be in column 4. So I can go and get a piece of paper and write down, okay, in column 4 it says income, column 5 says wages. I can write all these down. That's kind of silly. That would take me a long time to do. So what I can do is I can what's called freezing the rows. So I'm going to go into cell B5. So B5 is my active cell, shows up here, B5. It's my active cell. I'm going to go to the View tab, and I'm going to click Freeze Panes. So I'm going to take the first one where it keeps the rows and columns visible while you maneuver through the rest of the worksheet. Okay, so now when I go over to look at December, I can see what's in column A. The same as if I go down, I'm still able to see what month I'm in. So that's how you freeze your panes. To unfreeze your panes, I would just click Freeze Panes again and say Unfreeze. And now they're unfrozen. See, I go across. I don't know what any of that stuff represents. So that can be a very handy thing if you have a big spreadsheet like this. Okay, any questions on that?
Yes, we do have a question.
Okay.
I can't read it. Okay. Is there an example of this in the handout? And if so, on what page?
Yes. Freezing panes. Maybe there isn't, because I have hiding.
I think we have freeze pages in there.
I
If
think
not,
that,
we can send it to you.
yeah, we'll send it. Oh, yeah, it is. It's on
39.
page 29. It's on page 29.
It says 39.
29.
Oh, someone said 39.
My book says 29.
Okay,
Freezing rows, it's called.
okay. Also, can we move the number 3, January, to the number 1?
What? Can we move January to where?
Can we move number 3, January, to number 1?
To the first,
Well, you could just freeze the top row if you wanted to, but the reason that Sue did there, because she wanted to freeze the columns and the panes. You can do either the top row, you could do the first column, but if you wanted to freeze both, you have to pick a cell to do that in, which we want to do because the spreadsheet's so big.
because it's got, stuff in column A,
One,
and then it's
yeah.
got stuff at the top, in
Yes,
row 3.
so I don't know, number 3, January to, I don't know what that means. But in most cases, what you're going to do is you're probably going to just freeze the top row. But in this case, this is a very complex spreadsheet, so you're going to do both. So
Okay, then there is one other thing where you can go and hide rows and columns, and that is on page 39. So hiding columns and rows are not the same as freezing the panes. So another thing that you can do, say you're working on this budget, and you don't really care what happened in January. And you're going to be working on July. So what I did, I'm going across and where the letters are, A, B, C, D, up to G, I'm going to right click and say hide. So now those aren't visible anymore. But if you look at the top and you look at your alphabet, this is how you can tell something was frozen, because my alphabet went from A to H. But now this worksheet is more easy to manage because I hid those rows. So if I want to unhide the rows, I'm just going to highlight column A and column H and right click and say unhide, and then it restores it. So just by hiding it, you did not delete it. Questions?
okay, Joe Nowak had a solution to, he understood what our other person was saying. Perhaps to create more workspace, scroll up until only row 3 and show at the top, and freeze rows 1 and 2. And they are only, you can freeze anywhere you want, basically, if you're going to freeze a pane.
Right.
Yeah. And you could always change it too. You can unfreeze it. So
yeah,
it's what works for you.
Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed it or learned at least one new thing. I would say if you learned one new thing, it was worthwhile. So hope everyone have a good weekend. Okay, so thank you for attending, and we hope to see you or hear from you again.